Next, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Upul Jayasuriya, who is chairman of the Board of Investments of Sri Lanka. For those of you who do not know him too well, he was a member of the Attorney General's Department as a State Counsel, the first legal advisor of the Greater Colombo Economic Commission, and chairman of the Sri Lanka State Trading Tractor Corporation. Other previous roles include Managing Director and CEO of Ceylon Chocolates Limited and member of the Board of Directors of Upali Investment Holdings Limited. He also founded the Asian Finance Limited, a company now engaged in finance and business. So Mr. Jayasuriya, please take the podium and tell us a bit the role of standards and regulations are playing in attracting foreign investment here in Sri Lanka. Please.
You have posed the question already to me, the standards and regulations in Sri Lanka. The Greater Colombo Economic Commission law was established in 1978. We were the second in the region, as obviously the first was Singapore prior to us. And we were ahead of all the other countries in the South Asian region, and we were the first in the entire South Asia. And this law that was introduced as number 4 of 1978 has spelled out the policy and the regulatory process in facilitating business into Sri Lanka. In this process, we also are empowered with the exercising of the regulatory authority of several laws. That includes mostly the contentious issues that are faced by an investor when moving into a country of unknown territory, particularly coming into Sri Lanka, South Asian country, would be firstly the customs, firstly the incorporation setup and the licensing process, and the customs, exchange control, and the visa for the business directors and the investors when they come into a country. As far as the incorporation of a company and then starting your business and getting on with your work, Sri Lanka is the shortest possible. The incorporation of a company can be done in 2 days. And with regard to the other facilitation of bringing in the capital and then making your investment in this country and then be able to take away your capital as and when you so decide is unlimited. It is your will and pleasure. You can bring in your capital, you can take your dividends back home, you can take your capital as you may wish. There are no restrictions, and the facilitation process, the authorities, if necessary, are exercised by none other than the Board of Investments. Then come to customs. As far as customs are concerned, the customs ordinance regulates the imports, the HSCOs, import duties and all that. But as far as BOI is concerned, when we enter into an agreement under Section 17 of the BOI law, there are certain laws that are in the Schedule B, the ones that I referred to earlier, particularly the customs, the immigration and exchange control, and of course inland revenue, was all regulated by the Board of Investments. So we give the tax holiday, but now there are a few changes with regard to the tax holiday. We are giving a reduced tax holiday for the BOI ventures, whereas all these years we gave a complete tax holiday for sometimes 8 to 10 years. But now it is decided with the competition that is setting in, the corporate tax rate is halved for the BOI investments in the future. And also, once the BOI agreement is entered into, it is the interpretation of the BOI with regard to any issue that may arise from the customs. Whatever the imports that you will have to execute within the framework of the agreement will be done and supervised and accommodated and facilitated by the Board of Investments and no other. With regard to the visa, the immigration control is there, strict in any country, in every country. But as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, all your visa requirements will be attended to by the Board of Investments. So we have, in reality, the one-stop shop in this regulatory authority. Then there are other agencies, nearly 24 agencies that an investor may have to refer to and then look at in facilitating his business. All these agencies are represented and present under one roof. That's the Board of Investments at our premises. And all the issues that you may arise, that you may be faced with from time to time, can be resolved in one place. And we will take over the ball and run with it for you. Having said that, I must also say that we as an island nation enjoy peace and economy, stability with a population of around 20 million people. Key indicators of the economy show a steady growth in all indices, with an increase in per capita income and GDP growth rate increasing 7.4% in 2014 from 7.2% of the previous year. Sri Lanka is connected to major shipping as well as air routes to East and Western Hemisphere, and is a country that has never defaulted on any of its international debt obligations. English is widely spoken and used in business activities. What is significant is that an agreement entered into with the BOI remains valid for the lifetime of your project. It is also noteworthy that Sri Lanka has entered into bilateral investment protection agreements with over 38 countries and double taxation agreements, relief agreements with over 38 countries, including Japan, creating a compelling environment for business case in Sri Lanka. We also give protection for the investment that you make in Sri Lanka. We give a warranty in the agreement that we enter into with you. In addition to that, we also have given a constitutional guarantee on Article 157 of our Constitution that your investments are protected. And at this point of time in Sri Lanka, when we are looking at bringing major changes into the Constitution, we are also discussing and contemplating even making this Article 157 even stronger and making it an entrenched provision so that there shall be no question for the protection of your investment. Another factor for consideration is our quality of life. Sri Lanka offers high quality of life with an international standard healthcare, world-class education, modern office complexes such as Twin Towers, and the port city that is now coming up fast and will be ready in about 3 to 4 years' time. You may have to get your footprint in the port city as early as possible. The Human Development Index, which reflects the quality of healthcare, education, infant mortality, and life expectancy in our country has ranked, Sri Lanka has been ranked as 73, well ahead of the regional neighbors. A highly trainable and intelligent workforce is available for employment. It is pertinent for investors interested in setting IT or BPO operations to be aware that Sri Lanka has the second largest pool of UK qualified accountants in the world, nearly 24,000. Now, talking about BPO operations, I must say that Sri Lanka, that was ranked as far as its location was concerned at number 21, has now jumped up to the 16th position on the BPO operations. But as far as the FAO operations are concerned, the financial accounting outsourcing, we are number 3rd in the entire South Asia, entire region, in the world. So this is a matter to be kept in mind by the potential investors. Our IT industry that started from nothing has reached 1 billion exports during the last year, and they have targeted a moderate target of doubling its exports for the next year. We have produced some of the largest, some of the significant companies in this field, and also one of its success stories is a company called Virtusa, which is also quoted in the US stock market with an export turnover of about nearly $300 to $400 million per year. Now, this is an operation that started in the backyard of its founder, Mr. Chris Kanagaratnam, has done so well in attracting, at a time when nobody was looking at Sri Lanka as an option for the BPO operations, IT related. India, I'm not trying to compare, India is a giant. India has already decided that it will increase its the BPO seats by 9,000. When they had 15,000 seats, they called for bids and there were 83 bidders. But Sri Lanka offers even better. One of the footprints that we can be proud of in this field is the London stock market that has moved in here, and they are already employed. They made their application to the BOI on the 31st of March this year. Within 3 days, they got their letter of approval. Within another 3 days, they got their draft agreement, and within 1 week, we signed the agreement, and we found them a place for them to start their business, and they went into operation within 1 month. That's another success story. And they'll be offering 600 seats for the operation that they are involved with. And they are so happy about the process, and we are proud. This facility and the service that we are rendering is not unique only for a particular company simply because it was the London Stock Exchange, but this is a normal kind of facilitation that we offer at the BOI. The telecommunication infrastructure in Sri Lanka is the most advanced in the South Asia, and it provides efficient technologies for business operating in the country in terms of fiber optic connectivity and speed. As far as Sri Lankan fiber optic connectivity is concerned, within the last 2 months, we have now reached major steps towards the speed, and we are very proud of the service that we provide with one of our major providers, Dialog. Another factor for consideration is that while we have 6 developed ports, in Colombo port has been ranked #1 in the South Asia as per World Port Ranking, and also 33rd major shipping lines and 14 feeder services operate through the port of Colombo. The ports of Colombo, Hambantota have now been declared as free ports to create more competitive environment to engage in entreport trade, transshipment activities, and multi-country consolidation. Sri Lanka's strategic location has positioned it in the major international shipping route, providing market access to almost every destination in the world when you consider the sailings frequency of vessels calling at the port. Connectivity is important for any investors and may interest you to find that all major cities of the world can be reached within hours from Sri Lanka, with close to 500 flights per week connecting us with the rest of the world. Similarly, connectivity in terms of 12 domestic airports gives the big boost not only to the tourism industry but also to business travelers who may wish to complete transactions speedily or to combine their trips with visiting local attractions and places of interest. Sri Lanka provides reliable road infrastructure and continues to upgrade the road network to support the development activities and spur economic growth with expressway and highways, providing necessary connectivity for both business and leisure activities. The government is in the process of calling for RFPs, the request for proposals for the connectivity between Colombo and Dambulla. Colombo to Kandy has already been decided and given, and several other major highways have been contemplated, and also the elevated highway from Kalania to Rajagiriya and then to Atragiriya is now planned, and the government has already called for RFPs and will be closing on the 20th of this month. In doing business, the rank in Sri Lanka #1 in South Asia, and we are continuing to improve facilitation for investors and ease of doing business to cater to investor needs. I must say one thing with regard to doing business index. You will always refer to the doing business index as referred to by the World Bank. With all due respect to the people who have done the surveys and done the compilation of the data, I must say some of the data is not correct. I would quote you one example. In Sri Lanka, if you want to register a deed of transfer with regard to any business of yours or even buying a property on lease, another issue with regard to leases, you can lease a land in Sri Lanka paying the same stamp duty that a local company or individual will be paying. So here again, we have been ranked as 151st out of 159 countries, which is totally a fallacy. As far as I can talk of this with authority because I also belong to the same profession of law. The registration timing is maximum 3 weeks, and if you so require, through your attorney, you can get the documentation registered within a matter of 1 week. So that's the time. I don't think that would justify in our being ranked as 151st after the 159 countries. In terms of market access, a salient factor to be considered by investors, the Sri Lanka is a gateway to South Asia. Its FTAs with both India and Pakistan offering duty-free access to over 4,000 products to both these markets consisting of over 1.3 billion population. Therefore, the advantages of setting up in Sri Lanka to cater to these markets enables investors to enjoy the advantage of duty-free access which they would not receive even if physically located in those countries. Having given some points as to why Sri Lanka should be the destination to be desired by you, let me also elaborate on some of the thrust sectors promoted for investment leading to the country, to the economic transformation of the country, which includes high-tech industry, heavy industry and pharmaceutical knowledge-based services such as the HSBC call center that has been conducting operations in Sri Lanka for the last 10 years, and then many other allied companies in the same field. Infrastructure projects, higher education such as university, branch campuses, and promotions of R&D, particularly relating to opportunities to be reaped in fields of biotechnology, neuroceuticals, pharmaceuticals, nanotechnology are some of the specific sectors. Now, as far as the education is concerned, the universities are concerned, Sri Lanka is one country where foreign universities are open to come and then start teaching their courses. Now, this is not permissible in India. Large number of Indian students go out of the country to faraway destination at a much higher cost. So we offer a much more practical and a pragmatic solution to come to the neighboring country with the same kind of cultural heritage that are shared by the two countries. The children who come here would be able to study and learn and then integrate into the society. Also, learn the traditional way of Sri Lankan living within the same family network, closely knitted family network that we have in Sri Lanka. In terms of tourism, opportunities for investments arise from the projected need of 45,000 hotel rooms by the end of the year. With the expected level of tourist arrivals to reach 4 million by 2020, we are on course for an ambitious plan to reach this target with the realization of these projects with large number of rooms that have been added year by year. Doing a city tour in Colombo, you can see in Colombo itself there are at least 5,000 rooms that are in the making. I hope I have not overstepped my time. Have I overstepped? 1 more minute. Thank you. So now ICT literacy in the country is following an exponential growth path towards achieving the target of 75% literacy by 2016. And this industry is expected to become a $1 billion industry generating over 100,000 employment opportunities in Sri Lanka by 2016. At Kearney's has ranked Sri Lanka the 14th among the top 20 leading locations in the world for delivery of IT, BPO, and other knowledge services in its competitive benchmarking study of 2016, describing the country as a location with a highly skilled workforce and cost-competitive business environment. Sri Lanka has jumped 5 positions from, rather 7 positions from the 21st ranking to the 15th position as I referred to earlier. Furthermore, under new initiative, exemptions from customs, import-export control, exchange control are offered as I referred to again earlier by the BOI itself. BOI is the apex body created by the government, and the thrust is made for the attraction of investments, FDIs into the country, the the debt capital ratio is 70-30. You can bring in your capital from outside. You can also go for loans within Sri Lanka as you may require within the ratio that we have spelled out. So thank you very much for the opportunity given. I hope I have not overstepped the mark. Thank you for your time.